It's, I think, around 6 o'clock, I'm not sure. And we're snowed in. It's like minus 3 degrees. And it's been snowing here for days. Like days. Though I did manage to get out today and do a little bit of shopping. But anyway, I just come on because I'm bored and to see what everybody's doing and what's up on the YouTube streets. And I'm going to talk about politics because one of the things that is good is that when normal or average people in Canada talk to average people in the United States, it gives us a better idea of what's really going on and what each other is thinking. Hi, Rhonda. And because if you listen to YouTube and politicians, you're just like, what the hell is going on? So I worked the other day, and when I was at work, the big conversation was the speech Mark Carney gave at Davos, Sweden. And I'll tell you, we were very proud as Canadians to have Mark Carney honor our country the way he did. And we have been very proud to have him as a leader and very lucky. Like, that guy is so smart. And again, he spoke directly to us today. And in his speech, what he's basically saying is, we're ground zero. We're starting over. Things are going to change. They're not the same as they were. Which is sad. I mean, for 80 years, we both enjoyed a mutual relationship between our two countries that was fabulous. And that's all been completely destroyed. So it's not that, we're not going to the United States, but we don't dislike the people in the United States or hate them. I mean, of course, there's the radicals, the maggots and the MAGA people that are just nuts. And then we have a few out in Alberta that are just as nuts. And we didn't start out, going, oh, Trump's this awful person or judging him like that. We thought, okay, well, because it is not our election, it's your election. And when we seen him coming in, we were like, well, this might be a good thing. It's somebody different, and like, let's see what happens. And obviously, after a year, it's turned into an absolute shit show. So I don't know about yesterday, but if you guys have seen the news, but an entire factory somewhere, I believe in the Midwest, was shut down and had to lay in 5,000 people. And the town will not survive because of it. And then also a soybean farmer who's been in the business of selling soybeans for 40 years. He's at the point where he's like, there's no market left. Well, Trump's been busy doing all the bullshit he's been doing and keeping us all entertained. He dropped the ball on the people of the United States. So it's going to be a rough year coming up. And you're not in it alone. Prices over here are high. It's not cheap to live here either. And I was confused. Did Trump? No, because Canada stepped in and said, no, you're not. See, how that works, Rhonda, is one of the things Trump likes to do is act like he's a gangster, and he's not, because there's this little thing called NATO, and NATO has been in existence for decades. 32 countries around the world, like all the European countries, us, United States, we all agreed to this agreement about NATO. We protect each other. It was done after World War II, so that somebody like Hitler would never be able to rise to power again. In other words, you mess with one country, you mess with us all. Well, Donald Trump decided to mess with Greenland, and they are a part of NATO. And see, that's the same as, people coming out and saying, okay, well, aren't you, Canadian? Like, America's the greatest. We got the biggest missiles, all that shit. If United States messes with Canada, they're going to have 31 countries. They're going to be at war instantly with 31 other countries, not just Canada. That's what NATO is. So when he came out and started attacking Greenland, Greenland's a member of NATO. And we agreed, like many other countries, to protect Greenland because it is a strategic place for us, for all of us on the Western Hemisphere, that we would protect them. It doesn't mean Trump, you could own them. They're another country. And why that crazy Looney Tune got in his head that he could just buy that country is beyond me. And yesterday at Davos, Canada came out and said, no, we'll put boots on the ground. And that is something I want to say about that. Like, I can go so far back in history and give you one example after another of a politician or a king or a queen coming out and, oh, we've got the most superpowers, we've got the biggest, we've got the best. And then they go to war and they lose. So for a lot of these younger ones that are the most loud, especially on internet, basically if you're under 40 years old, most of these kids on the YouTube, their teething ring was a game controller. They really don't have a lot of real life experience. And nor have they educated themselves. So they think going to war is this, tough, and we're tough and all that. No, I remember Vietnam, the back of Vietnam. United States went in there thinking, they're just, the word was gook. They called Vietnam's gooks. And it was like, oh, we're going to go in there and then we're just going to wipe them out. They don't got what we have. We're powerful. We got the best weapons. And I watched, there was one generations of men that got the draft, a letter sent to their door, young men, 20 years old, 18, sent to their house, you're going to Vietnam. And they came back in body bags. Hundreds of thousands of Americans died over 2 decades. And then at the end of it, they didn't win. Gave up, came back home, because there was so much pressure in United States at that time to stop, because too many young men were dying. Lost almost like a generation of young men due to that. And then it feels like, okay, here we are, we're back here again. And you see these young men and they're all full of testosterone, and they think that, they've been playing war games on their computers, and they think that they're going to go over there and, they're going to take Greenland, they're going to take Canada. Well, I'm going to say this, and then I'll give you another example of that attitude not working. It takes millions and millions of dollars to build a pipeline. Billions and billions of dollars to mine precious minerals and ore that keep the war machine going in the United States. It's taking decades to build that military defense. It takes less than $2,000 to blow up a pipeline. Think about that. And even the Iraq War, Afghanistan. We entered into that war with you guys, and it was like, oh, we were supposed to win that war, and America was so damn sure that they were just going to go in there and clean things up, and they were going to rescue everybody. Well, we ended up pulling out of that war because we couldn't win it, and the Taliban is still out there today. Still out there. And not only that, they bombed, what was it, the two towers in New York. So all these wars that keep happening, that United States keeps involving themselves into, Donald Trump ran on that he was going to stop doing that he was going to put America first. And instead, he's threatening everybody. And it's not that anybody's afraid of him, because we all know that if push comes to shove, NATO's going to point, 31 countries are going to be pointing their bombs, missiles, boots on the ground at United States, which is just more destruction, and nobody wants that. Now, if you go back to, Elizabeth I in England, when the Spanish Armada was going to take over England, Spain spent years building these huge warships, and Elizabeth I was outmanned and outgunned and everything, and there was just like, every one of her advisors were like, you're not going to win this fight. You need to back down, because these galleons are going to come in and they're going to take over England. And she wrote out to you probably always heard of it because it was all done, unless you didn't pay attention in history class, the White Cliffs of Dover, where she stood there and watched as these galleons from Spain came in. And she knew if they made sure that England would no longer have existed. Well, what happened was there was a thunderstorm, a really bad one, that rose up, which caused the seas to go all crazy, big waves. And it started, what happened was the galleons started running into each other, toppling over, and none of them ever made shore. And that's the ones you always hear about these days, that, those Spanish galleons that went to the bottom where people try to get the treasure out of. They're up there, and then they're down in the Florida and the Caribbean too. So, at that time, Elizabeth was, nobody thought she could win that fight. And it just, by an act of God, up popped this massive thunderstorm and completely demolished the Spanish galleons and Spain. And if that would not have happened, that thunderstorm, there would no longer be England wouldn't exist anymore. So these things happen. The fall of Rome, that's another one. Rome was so big, at one end of Rome, one border of Rome, you could see the sunset, and the other border, you could see the sunrise. That's how big Rome was at one time, and it fell. This thing Donald Trump is doing is just stupid, and all the other world leaders know it. But unfortunately, for us people on the ground that are just living our daily lives, it's affecting us. It's affecting our cost of food. It's affecting our everything. And I know, because I talk to my family in the States all the time, that it's affecting them. And it's not fun. And it needs to stop. At the World Economic Forum yesterday, Donald Trump got Greenland and Iceland mixed up 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And then on top of it, he did this big long thing about, oh, if America wouldn't have stepped in, that Danish people, that Iceland people would probably be speaking German, meaning the Nazis or the Hitlers. Well, what the hell does he think the Danish people speak? They speak German. Like this guy, he just made a buffoon of himself. And of course, by the time Tuesday rolled around, he's no longer going after Iceland. You think it was fair what he did to those people? Those people have been living in absolute fear that they're going to be invaded. Like, what the fuck? And like today, for instance, today was a big day, especially in Massachusetts, because Canada is now providing 22% of the energy that Massachusetts needs to run their hydro. It's coming from us. So if United States if Donald Trump starts to push our borders, we've got no choice but to defend ourselves. Do we want to? No, we don't want to. We do not want to go to war with our friends and family because some friggin' orange retard in the office thinks he can just take this country. But we will if we have to. And what that means is we will use our resources to do it. That's all we can do. So what it would look like, for instance, it's not going to look like what you see on TV when the bombs go into Afghanistan. What it's going to look like is all the power being shut off to Manhattan. Now, if you can imagine Manhattan, those big buildings and those old, the museums and everything that's there, imagine right now at minus 10 degrees, there's no heat. So those buildings that are 100 stories high, 30 stories, all the pipes will freeze and bust. The basements will all flood. That's what would happen to Manhattan. The rats would all surface. So who does that affect? That affects us. That affects the people on the ground. It doesn't affect the Trumps of the world. He's going to be sitting in his golden ballroom. That's where he's going to be sitting. He is acting very dangerously for us. Not just you, but for all of us. With his talk. And if he does something stupid. And I personally think that he's got something wrong with him to even talk the way he does. That's what I think. And right now, there are countries in the world that will no longer deal with United States because they don't trust you guys. Not because you did anything wrong, but because of him. One minute he's going to invade a country, next minute he's not. And unfortunately, too many people don't research stuff. They watch Fox News, they watch CNN, you've got Cornell University, the Federal Reserve, Wall Street. Those are the type of things you have to look at to find the truth of what's really going on out there. So for that, I just think it's sad. I mean, we should be, and all the money that is just being wasted on his bullshit is, oh my God, you guys could have friggin' universal health care by now. Can you imagine what that would look like? That you no longer have to worry about medical bills. You no longer have to worry about prescriptions. What a change that would make in your life. Nobody in Canada and several other countries that have universal health care, because Canada's not the only one, has to worry about going to the hospital. And that's why we live longer. Because throughout our life, we've always been able to get health care. We haven't had to worry about it. No, if he's allowed to continue, when or if he walks away, United States is going to be in a worse condition than when he started. And that's just a fact, because he's wasted so much money. And the lies, like he's brought in trillions of dollars. No, he hasn't. That's another thing. I watch Korean news too. So you remember when he had that Korean on in the office and he said, oh, we're going to make this big deal. I think it was some sort of, I don't remember what the fuck it was. And then the guy came out in Korea and said, no, they talked about it, but there was never any papers signed. So that's what worries me. I know Donald Trump's not going to be forever, but I'm wondering what the hell it's going to be like when he's gone, because once the Treasury gets reopened, I think it's going to shock everybody to see what America has left to work with. That's Scott Bezos, that one with the glasses, who's Trump. He has this big old Victorian mansion somewhere down south. I couldn't believe what I heard him say in an interview here recently. He's Trump's financial advisor. He was talking about seniors, mature people and seniors. And he said, this is to show you how out of touch these people are. Well, by the time our seniors are, up there, mom and pop, most our people, they own between 5 and 12 houses. Mom and pop. It's like, what world do you live in? How many of you know people that are retired that own between 5 and 12 houses in the United States? And then the other one, the head of the whole dietary thing, the hell's her name? I can't even remember. She come out and she said that she believes that that if you use their upside down pyramid diet, that a person can eat for $15 a day. Or a family. I can't remember which one of it. Fucking nuts. Is she been to a grocery store? These are multimillionaires, billionaires. So while they're out there on their yachts, and I mean multiple yachts, she broke it down to, she showed a picture of a chicken leg. Keep in mind, this is Trump's advisor. A chicken, Brooke somebody or other. A chicken leg, a piece of broccoli, and 2 tortillas. And that bitch, I bet you, was eating lobster and steak and having it raised and flown in from wherever the fuck she feels like it. And yet she's telling that this is, this budget is absolutely fine. No, they don't. I remember, I think it was Brian Mulroney. He pulled that shit. You'll have to look it up here in Canada. It's called the tuna fish diet. When we were really struggling over here, this was 20 years ago, 20, 30, maybe more. He had his dieted food advisor come up with a diet that consisted of tuna fish and peanut butter. We still laugh about it to this day. It's called the tuna fish diet. But anyway, it's like everything comes in cycles. And I said it from the very beginning when I first come on and I used to do my lives. I said, this side of the world is in a decline. Well, yes, we are. And Donald Trump just helped push the Western atmosphere down even farther. And it's really hard to talk to a lot of Trump people because, especially the MAGA people, because they feel like it's like you hurt their feelings when you say, hey, it's not working out. They get very offended instead of, you know what? He tried. You guys voted him in. Yes, he's your president. But he's failed. And he's failing very badly. To the point that it's affecting you guys terribly. Like this year, this coming spring, there was no food crops last year. Crops rotted in the fields. So you partially are working on, stuff they had built up. That's going to be gone. And Donald Trump, his whole answer is, well, instead of developing a way to work with everybody and a way to make things good for everybody, I'm just going to steal it. So let's talk about the Venezuela stuff. Again, when there has never been any proof that any of those boats coming out of Venezuela were, and by the way, I've been to Venezuela, went on that vacation there many years ago, were drug boats. And even if they were drug boats, that would be weed. They were bringing weed. And Trump and his crew were ordering these people with weed in their boats, let's just say the worst scenario, and killing them, just blowing them up out of the sky. And then he decides he's going to invade Venezuela. And he sells it to you all by saying, well, he said, the war on drugs, we're keeping our people safe. And then what does he do? He kidnaps Maduro and his wife, brings them back to the States. And then he steals a bunch of oil. Now, at first, the Venezuelan people were like, yes, because Maduro is a murderous regime. Horrible, 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 horrible leader. He was wrongfully elected, and he was just a bad president. But what does Donald Trump do? He replaces him with the same regime. He takes the oil and puts the same damn regime back in. So there was a few photos of people that were floating around and going, yay, we love you, Mr. President, and all that shit. That lasted for about 3 days. What's going on there now is the country is completely unstable. And there's gangs of motorcycle gangs running around killing people. All Americans have been removed from the country because it's not safe for them to be there. Donald Trump had a meeting with all the heads of the oil companies, and they're coming back and they're saying, well, there's nothing we can do with that oil because the type of oil that comes out of Venezuela has to be refined a certain way, and they have no way of refining it. So, you need these big refining factories to refine all that oil so that it's usable. And unfortunately, Venezuela's is a special type of oil. I don't know what the deal is the particular name of it. And it has to be refined in a certain way. And nobody has the refineries to do it. So now Venezuela's sitting down there. The people are just in a mess. They're terrified. They're under the same murderous regime. Trump stole their oil. None of the big oil companies want to go in to do anything because it's too dangerous. No American wants to set foot working down there because they know damn well they'll be killed. So I wonder what's going to happen with that mess. Now, it's really, really too bad that Donald Trump didn't do what he said he was going to do. Make America great again. Put America first. All he's done is line his own pockets and his billionaire buddies. And this is going to be over. It's not going to last forever. He's going to be gone one way or another. And it's just going to leave this part of the world in worse condition. What Trump wants from Canada is he wants our minerals, he wants our lumber, he wants our oil. We have some sort of passage that goes through our country that's a big shipping route. He wants that too. There is no way on this earth or in hell that Canada will allow that to happen. Donald Trump already knows that. And if anything, if you start hearing in the coming days that he's going to start attacking Canada like all the bullshit you heard about Greenland, don't worry about it. Because part of me thinks this is his way of getting you guys not to look at the Epstein files. Because if those get released, you're going to see that he is a pedo 3 and a pedo 3 protector. And you're going to see a lot of our leaders from this country, from England, Democrats, Republicans, that are in the same boat. That they viewed these young women as nothing but playthings. And that they were entitled to our daughters, and in some cases, probably some of our sons, because they just didn't matter. And that's the biggest fear going for Donald Trump right now. And a lot of very, very wealthy men. Me personally, I think the best thing that could happen is those files come out. Because it would be a big change, but it would be a change in the right direction. Because we'd all have to sit back and take a real good look at what we're all living under and maybe start making some more informed decisions in the future. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to let y'all go. Hi, Hungry. How you doing? And Rhonda, if you don't mind, I'm going to take that picture of that dog and you, your doggy, and AI it. Because you guys look so damn cute. And Kim, you have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.